Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Jeff Aldridge and I'm here with my friend Kelvin Postell. What's up, Kelvin?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a beautiful day. We're here. We're gonna talk some LED walls, man.
Yeah, it's good to have you in the studio, man.
Yeah, man. I love it. It looks nice, man. It looks nice.
Thanks,
I
thanks.
like your cave, man. It's cool.
Thanks. Yeah. It's definitely a cave. Today we're here to talk about LED walls. Probably the biggest misunderstood element of audio visual and lighting is the LED wall. Can you tell? Let's start with first. Like, what got you into LED walls, Kelvin?
What got me into LED walls were kind of going back into my touring days. Started with audio, then realized like, oh man, I gotta figure out how to climb that chain. One of my good buddies, was a lighting guy. We hung out all the time and got into lighting, and then from lighting, video walls started, kind of coming to pass in touring and stuff like that. I started 15 years ago, and then over the last like 7 or 8, LED walls kind of became a thing. And when you're in lighting, a lot of times they give you control of the video wall and content and stuff like that. And then I got to a situation where a part of one of the tours, they wanted me to kind of set up LED walls, and we had a little small wall. And that was like the beginning intro to me kind of being a part of the LED wall, world. And so from there, I really got into it to where I went from not really knowing much about LED walls and kind of being thrown a couple, panels for this small LED wall set up for a small tour to I really got engulfed into it because I really understood this is where, things are going to go. Video is a huge part of like concert and design now. So I really locked into it. That was maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, and just been kind of honing those skills ever since.
And obviously, you have Post Effects Visuals as a company, so you've really gone from a couple panels here and there, like you said, to like now you've a full on business that installs it for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. So started Post Effects Visuals. Kids were getting old enough to kind of voice their opinions of dad being gone all the time. And so I was like, oh man, I got to figure out this off ramp to touring so much. And at that time, I was video director for a couple tours, LED Tech One, lead designer, stuff like that. And started meeting manufacturers, going to LDI, going to Infocom, really kind of meeting manufacturers, and decided like, hey, this should probably be my off ramp. I went ahead and I took 1 year. I took every tour I could get, and we saved up and we bought our first first set of panels, and we just been growing ever since. I just kind of was like, hey, this is going to be my off ramp. This is going to kind of be what feeds the kids, and we decided to jump 2 feet in.
What would you say is the most common or misunderstood thing about LED walls?
That they're the same thing as a TV. That's probably the most misunderstood thing. Is like, oh yeah, it's just like a TV. It's like it's a little bit different. Kind of the same conceptual design of like, hey, this is a thing, this is a display, I can put visuals on, but not quite the same thing as a TV.
When someone sees a finished wall, what do they not see behind the scenes?
A lot of cabling, a lot of programming, a lot of weight, a lot of design, structural design. There's a lot of elements that go into the LED wall: coloration, saturation, making sure that the colors on the screen that you're producing this content on actually matches what's displayed live for your audience.
So for someone brand new that's listening to this, like maybe a customer that's potentially wanting to buy a wall, what is an LED wall exactly?
So an LED wall, when broken down to the smallest concept, is a modular panel made up of actual LED diodes that then produces an actual visual. So each LED wall is broken down into individual panels. Those individual panels have individual modules. Those individual modules have individual LED diodes that have color attached to them, and they produce light. So essentially, TV is very much different, where it doesn't necessarily produce light. It's just a display image. This produces light. So that's why you're able to kind of see it during the daytime. You can see it at night, concerts, through lighting, all of those different things.
Where would you say that most LED walls are being used these days?
Honestly, in 2026, they are being used absolutely everywhere. Everywhere from air. I put up LED walls in airports. I put them up in malls for displays. We're going church. Where churches everywhere are pretty much kind of incorporating LED walls. Anywhere that you would pretty much kind of see a projector is almost getting replaced with an LED wall. It is literally everything from a church's advertising, from their back wall graphics to consumer displays advertising. So it's literally starting to become anything and everywhere in between.
Do you think there are certain environments that are best for an LED wall versus others?
It depends on the concept. It really depends on what you're needing it for. Like I said, I with post effects visuals, we are starting getting to the B2B sales. So we're actually going to marketing and advertising companies, and we're using them. Like I said, in expos, we're using them in environmental displays when they're doing like activations. I think is what they call them, activations. Everything from DJs to weddings. I would say that they're it's best used when you have the right concept of an idea what you want to display. That's kind of the best way to put it. If you have a really good concept of what you're trying to display, you can almost use it in any aspect.
A common term that most people come across when they think of LED wall is pixel count. How important is a good quality pixel?
A good quality pixel is what makes or break your content for a LED wall. Knowing your pixel count, knowing how much information that you can put inside of that pixel count especially when you're making the content. Like I said, content is king with LED walls. I run into a common conversation with a lot of my customers, in which I am very adamant of, hey, what do you want now? What do you want to display? And do you have a content person who can actually make sure that when I give you this LED wall, when I give you this large canvas, can you make sure that you put the right information on it, with starting with the pixel count, because that gives you your canvas, that gives you your how much information can I put on here and it looks good.
Now, from what I understand, is that there are pixel manufacturers, and the way that they rate pixels is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they'll take the best quality pixel and then put it in one bucket, and then the next quality might not be as pristine of a pixel, and that goes into another category. And then there's pixels that have defects but can still work.
Yeah.
And so that determines the cost of the wall, really, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if can we talk some why viewing distance is important when you're talking pixels?
Yeah, absolutely. So distance, and then that's kind of where we go into what we call like quality of 3.9, 2.9, 1.9, which is basically the space in between the pixel that kind of gives you the image. So looking at it wise, your eyes can only see the pixels depending on the distance. So 3.9, your best viewing range is somewhere between 15 and 22 feet from the wall. Meaning that like once you get in that range, the image, the pixels are so close together because of the distance that your eyes can't break out the individual pixels. And so then you go down to 2.9, which gives you a little bit more closer of a range. You can kind of be between 12 to 15 feet ish or so, again, to where your eyes can't determine the space in between the pixel. And then once you get below 2.9, you're talking about 2.6, 1.9. Those are some high quality pixels. Those are the ones where you're paying top dollar. And that kind of puts you in that good, better, best quality of LED walls.
What happens when someone chooses the wrong pixel rate?
So the wrong pixel rate can give you what we call graph lines, where especially if you're putting a camera in front of it, if you don't create enough distance, same thing, your camera is going to start seeing those little buzz lines behind the pastor. When you go to take a photo, your camera can't quite figure out like the right refresh rate to set it to where your picture, especially if you're taking a picture in front of an LED wall, comes out right. The having someone really understand, again, the canvas, understand how you're trying to use it, the aspect in which you want to display something, really matters, because again, if it, like the young people say, if you didn't take a picture of it, you didn't take video of it, did it really happen? But yeah, so I would say that the pixel rate matters a lot. It matters a lot. So like, where I would love to get into doing some outdoor signs and stuff like that. So if you're out on the road and you're driving, you can go as high as like a 4.9 or a 5.0 pixel rate, because you're driving, the distance is so far away. You're just gonna see a complete image.
Which basically means the pixels are spread out, and you don't need as many pixels in the display to be able to view it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Yeah, absolutely. But if you want to do something, say at like a wedding, or if we're doing something with like our marketing team and they want to do an activation, you want a smaller pixel pitch. You want to go down to like a 2.6, because that means that your person, people that's going to be viewing this, is going to be a lot closer. So when they go to take these pictures, or when they're walking up, they're going to be within 10 feet of that LED wall, and you want to make sure that they see a complete picture and not these large individual diodes, and you can be like, what? This doesn't look like what you're displaying.
Just think if you had to get waterproofed, water resistant or waterproof LED walls inside, how much the price would go up.
Oh yeah.
So, just because it's an outside wall and it doesn't have as many pixels doesn't mean it's necessarily cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What should customers look for when they're choosing options of LED walls?
I think that the biggest thing, and this is to not deter anybody from, working with anyone who does sell LED walls, but you definitely want to make sure that you're talking with someone who's very knowledgeable. Again, who's asking those correct questions of, hey, where are you putting this? What's your end goal? What's your average distance? Especially if it's in a church, like where's the person who's going to be sitting first row? Like, how far is your first row from the screen? If pastor is heavily involved, like where's pastor's seat? Like, you want to make sure that the distance is very important. You want to make sure that someone is, again, knowledgeable, cares about the end product, and not just trying to just throw you a wall and just throw it up there. You want to make sure that you're looking for the actual quality of the wall. They're starting to, it's become a thing, just over time, technology. There's a lot of LED walls that are starting to become, made of plastic.
Oh God.
Yeah, you start to put stuff together, handles are breaking off. So you want to definitely check the integrity. And honestly, I mean, there's a lot of just technology where you can look at the specs of the wall and just kind of read over it. Just read over it. Make sure that you're getting the quality that you're looking for.
Here's a little bit deeper question for technicalities and safety requirements in the United States. Some of the LED walls are sold with a UL code, and some of them are sold without a UL code. Could you explain that?
Yeah. So
which, hold on, by the way.
Yeah.
It basically translates to it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So UL code is basically that's your way of understanding if you're getting a cheaper LED wall, less quality, or something that's a little bit more passing. It's like a Board of Health code type of thing when it comes to U.S. manufacturing, and it again, that's one of those things where if you want to go that route without a URL code, you can. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just also understand what you're getting. Be very mindful, and that's where I said, like, just talk to someone who's knowledgeable. Make sure that you're getting all the things that you're asking for. Make sure you check your specs. Make sure you ask the pertinent questions.
What would you say someone that sells you an LED wall and gives you all these extra panels? Is that a red flag to you?
It could be if it comes standard. If it comes standard, yes. If it's like, hey, per amount of LED walls we give X amount of extra panels. You should always be getting extra modules no matter what, because anything could happen. Especially in a more than likely you are getting an LED wall in a permanent space anyway. So things just happen, wear and tear. Especially if you're a church and you're when they redesign the stage a few times, Easter, Christmas, stuff like that. So things are going to happen. Pixels do go out. But if you're just getting like a stockpile of just panels and frames and all that things, you probably should be aware that there might be some adverse defects.
I would almost be willing to bet they didn't have a UL code.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
I would definitely be willing to bet that they probably didn't, and you are in go ahead and just get your research up on how to fix certain things.
Now it's time to talk about power requirements. How do
Okay.
people underestimate power requirements for these?
Yeah, so power is absolutely the next most important thing that you should be asking, or your provider should be drilling. We just had a situation. Church bought a massive LED wall, and we got ready to like. I'm like, okay, hey, I'm asking the power questions. They've already in their mind. They're like, hey, we're purchasing this wall. It's done. Let's write the check. Let's get it going. I'm like, all right, cool. Timeout. Slow your roll. We got to talk about weight. We got to talk about, rigging. And then we got to the power question, and they did not have enough power.
Oh my
The power,
goodness.
yeah. And so then they spent another 10, 15 grand just installing the right type of power for the massive amount of panels that they bought. So power is absolutely important. There are panels that can do 208, that can do 110. And it is, again, making sure that you're talking to your rep, make sure you're talking to your dealer, asking all the right pertinent questions. Do they take 208? Are they interchangeable? There's some panels that can fluctuate. It can take 110. It can take 208. 208 just allows you to send more power across more panels. You usually kind of want to be in a 208 range because, again, you can send more power across more panels. 110, less power, less panels, which in turn means that you just have to end up putting more 110s across your electricity.
Ideally, electrical should be part of the first conversation when you're talking about the LED wall, because a lot of people will be like, "Hey, I want to put an LED wall here," but they don't have the power there.
Yeah.
How much extra power does it take to power up these? Is there a surge of power that happens at the beginning when you first power it on?
No, my best solution, man, my best thing I'm always telling people is like one, I can always bring in an electrical reference, and we can go that route. But a lot of times churches kind of, especially churches, they kind of already have someone who's dialed in, who kind of understands their electrical infrastructure. And I'm the same way. Like I said, the church was like, okay, this is what we want. We want to buy. We want to buy. And I'm like, all right, cool. Time out. Let's ask some pertinent questions. And power was absolutely one of them. We didn't even make the sale. I wouldn't make the sale unless I figured out their power situation. And I talked to someone who could like, hey, let me see your specs. Let me see your blueprints. Let me walk me to your power room. Is there a power surge that happens when done right? No. There's not a right away surge power. You always want to make sure, again, your dealer, your install rep, you want to make sure that they're checking power. They want to meter it out. You definitely don't want to plug in anything without metering everything. And then from there, I usually start first panel, and then we just kind of work our way, because there has been times, again, people just not really understanding what's happening. Someone says the power is off when it's on and stuff like that, where you send too much power to one panel right away, and things could happen.
So another topic is rigging, whether you're going to do ground stack or flying it, whether it's going to be a motor chain. Basically, do you want to move the LED wall around or move it in the future?
Yeah.
If you just hang it there, it's there. A lot more difficult to take down. What are the differences between ground support, and flying them?
Flying is obviously way more dangerous. There's a lot more that goes into flying an LED wall versus ground stacking. Flying an LED wall is, in my opinion, something that shouldn't be taken very lightly. Just because you have a structural beam there doesn't mean that you can hang it there. Again, I'm always very safe and very cautious when it comes to that. So I do ask for a lot of structural designs if they can provide it. I do have a rigging company that we kind of go back and forth with. The rigging company comes in, they take their measurements, and we really make sure that it's safe and secure. Because my biggest thing is LED walls can get heavy. They get very, very heavy the more you add. So when you're rigging from up top, you just want to be safe. Rather be safe than sorry, because you didn't have to just add. You don't have to just add in the weight of the wall. You have to add in the weight of the cables, the truss that you're hanging it from, the actual motor. Like it all takes a huge toll, and that weight adds up really, really quickly. So you want to make sure that your structural beams can support it. Also, you want to make sure that where you hang it, you want to also take in consideration everything else that's around it. So there might be, sure, I can hang an LED wall here, but what else is on this structural beam? There's a lighting rig, and there's also some other things, and so that you just want to take in all that in consideration. Ground supporting is also just as important. There's a lot of stages that aren't necessarily built through with cement, so there's some that's wood supported, and again, depending on how big you want to go, that wall can get really, really heavy. So there's also things where you have to look at, well, can the floor support it? Especially if you, like I said, wood built stages. I'm always asking like, hey, so what's up under here? Can I see what's up under here? Is there some kind of support that can manage how big we're going to put this centered weight? And then also, again, you want to make sure that you're having sandbags, the right structural truss support. If you're going to build it by truss, a lot of people are going to the LED wall manufactured support rigging, ground support rigging, which is really cool. Definitely makes I support that a lot. It definitely makes building the wall very easy because once you kind of get that first level really laid out and structured, oh, it's a breeze putting it up. It's a breeze.
I think an important thing to talk about this, especially at this point in the conversation, is that there's a lot of planning that goes on in building an LED wall. Part of that plan is time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to say, hey, I want an LED wall in 2 weeks and I want it flown, I would say that's being unrealistic.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely.
So this should be something that's planned out. And actually, Kelvin and I just went through a drill.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, fire drill.
We got really, really lucky to get the motors and the chain and stuff that we needed for a project pretty fast.
Yeah.
I say that you need time, but why go through all that stress, whether it's actually going to show up on time? Kelvin has his own company, so every moment that he's standing there, every moment that someone that he contracts to come in is standing there, is money being lost. And by all means, you want to try to eliminate that. So to have everything in place before you plan to install is always the best thing. Of course, we're trying to always match clients' and customers' expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes they could be a little too far-fetched, I would say.
Absolutely. I always try to plan out LED walls at least 2 months in advance. And my biggest thing is I usually love to have everything that I need for that LED wall at the building, at the church, at least a week prior to. That's my usual goal.
Amen.
Shipping stuff like that happens. Things manufacturers call you at the last minute. It's like, oh, sorry. but again, that's why we try to always make sure that it's there at least a week in advance. Like Jeff was saying, we just had a situation where like we thought we had something, and then that the rug was pulled up under us, and then we had to like hurry up and pivot. And we still got the job done. It looks great. It's beautiful, but it's definitely one of those things where you want to plan it out as early as possible. I always get caught in that Easter rush. We end up turning down sometimes clients who it's just like, hey, you're asking me 30 days before Easter that you want an LED wall. I don't know if we can make that happen.
Give it 30 days for it to arrive.
Yeah.
Like you need to be at the 30 days till the project starts and you're already ordering and stuff is starting to ship 30 days before.
Yeah, absolutely. Because definitely, you want things to go through QC. You want things to be touched and seen. You don't want it to just show up and it's like, all right, cool, we got a day to hurry up and load this in, and then you come to find out there's defects, there's not all the panels arrive. I've been in situations where it's all, everything up under the sun has happened. But again, the more you're able to plan out, the more we can rectify these things on the front end. So definitely always look at this as like, just because you have the money right now doesn't mean that you can get it right now. Unfortunately, it's not one of those things where you can just walk in the store and just like, all right, cool, I'm gonna pull this LED wall off the shelf and we're gonna put it up. It's like, no, that's not how that works.
I agree, but it could depend on size too, right?
Yes,
so if
absolutely.
you want a small sized, 9 foot by 16 foot, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or 16 foot by 9 foot, excuse me. That's completely doable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Within that time frame.
Size definitely does matter. We do keep, and we're starting to get to that point where we're trying to keep, some LED walls in stock. So there are some of those quick turnarounds. But it definitely does depend on size. It depends on size. because they come in batches. And we were just actually talking about this before we got started, how the batch count matters. Like, so just so you guys also know that LED walls get made and the panels get made in batches, and those batches are based off of the diodes and the color that are built into it. So if you decide like, hey, I want to get this LED wall, this month, and then, say a year down the line, you're like, okay, I want to add to it. We may or may not be able to do that because now there's a new batch we made with new color new LED dyes, and the colors may not match. So if we put them together, your red may not look exactly like the red from the old batch to the new batch. So those are very important.
You can definitely do it.
Yeah, you can definitely
don't
do it.
get me wrong, but I can guarantee you're not going to be happy. And maybe it's just us, because sometimes you're like, hey, man, it sounds horrible in here. And everybody else thinks it sounds great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So there's that too.
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's always color matching, and we can always go into the actual system and do our best to match everything. There's always a chance. And I always let people know, like, hey, if you want to go bigger, there's a certain amount of time, which again, your dealer, your rep should kind of know when batches get made and how much of what batch is left over. But yeah, you definitely want to make sure that, like, if you decide you want to go bigger, go ahead and put those plans in place sooner rather than later, especially if you want to be able to, combine them all together and make a larger picture.
And even if you do, like, let's say, turn around a week later, it's not always guaranteed that you're going to get the same batch.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be 2 or 3 batches out there, and you're drawing from one batch for this large project. So, obviously, whoever's ordering it needs to pay particular attention, whatever the batch code?
Batch code, yep.
Yeah,
batch code. Yeah. And then and that's not to deter you from still getting and purchasing those LED walls. That's just kind of let you know that, like, you may have some, you may have to work around some concept design. So you might do some lyric strips with the new batch. You might be able to do some totems on the sides or something like that. Again, once you get to that point, most people don't even notice or care. But it's just when you're, center stage, there's one half that's a new batch and one half there's not. It's like, that might show up a little bit different than you think.
And again, it comes back to Post Effects did that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's not.
We wouldn't do
bro.
that. I would absolutely be like, hey, all right, so this is what we can do. Yeah, well, this is what we can do. We can get you that, but then let's play around. And that's what, again, that's kind of where we are slightly different. Is that we have a couple guys who are on the team that are just phenomenal, and they really help me design a lot of that stuff. And again, concept design. I go to a lot of pastors, worship leaders, production managers, and I'm like, hey, what is the concept? What are you trying to display? What's your end goal? And then I play around with the ideas. Hey, this is new. This is what we've been doing. What else do you got? And we get to sit there. And for me, it's fun. It's a blank canvas. I get to say, like, hey, all right, cool. So this is, depending on what we got lighting wise, I bring in some good friends in lighting, and we really get to play around with new concepts.
So now the conversation leans to process and control. What drives the images on these LED walls?
So your LED wall processor is what really drives the image on these processors, and I'm sorry, on the LED walls is your LED wall processor, and the LED wall processor is very, very, very important. That is the thing that converts your computer image into something that the LED wall can understand to display what you're trying to put out there. And it all definitely ranges. There's VX1000s, 600s, which is kind of your older models, to some of your big boys like the HD Pro Junior. And there's a couple different LED wall processors. I'm a Novastar guy, but there's also Barco processors. There's a bunch of different things that you can do as far as processor wise. But just again, talk to your dealer, talk to your rep. And ask the pertinent questions.
Here's a question. What are sending and receiving cards?
So your sending and receiving cards are essentially like your video cards inside of a computer. Your sending card is what sends out to your LED wall. Your receiving cards are kind of what is like the converting image. I'm trying to like not overly nerd this out too much, but they're very important. They're very, very important.
Now, of course, you have the driver, the processor, but you also have to have what type of software do you typically required?
For the content,
Yeah.
so content wise, you can it. Yes, you could always just have. I've seen people run LED walls, content wise, with just your standard PowerPoint, which is
Really?
fine. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a super huge fan of it because I mean, there's a lot more things that you can do. But if that's what it is, you can use everything from PowerPoint, Resolume, ProPresenter. The better the software, the more capabilities that you have. I'm very much a proponent of ProPresenter and Resolume. To me, those have some of the best intro lanes to controlling your graphics and doing some really cool stuff. ProPresenter, obviously for churches, it gives you again a very solid on ramp to being able to do some really cool stuff.
Now, the important part is installing it, training afterwards. I'm sure you provide everything in between.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through like a bird's eye view of start to finish?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So start to finish, usually there's some conversations back and forth. On our end, we like to do a lot of mock-ups. So usually I'll do a site visit. We'll do some measurements. I usually try to take a quite a few measurements. I take into account of if we're going to fly it, if we're going to ground stack it. Again, asking those pertinent questions of what's the end goal, what are you really trying to display. So then I can take it back to the team. We'll do some mock-ups. We'll do some concept designs. And then from there, church or the customer will usually pick out exactly what they want. And then we start what we call our lead time process. That's when we're putting in our orders. That's when we're starting to do our QCing. We're looking at like usually a 4 to 6 weeks kind of time frame from that point. Everything again from us, we're double checking with our electrician. We're sending, especially if the church or the customer has kind of their own electrical situation. We're usually sending them, hey, this is exactly what we need. This is exactly where we need it. Usually about 2 to 3 weeks out, like I said, LED panel should be showing up. We're doing our QC process. We're checking everything. We're making sure that everything is good to go. Then we're usually delivering on site about a week out. We're making sure that we have everything there, everything from ground support, base plates, pins, cables. We want to double check everything because when we start this process, especially for a lot of churches, we're usually doing this like the moment the Sunday ends. We're usually kind of coming in, the stage is getting ripped out, instruments are getting pulled out, and we know that we have a very short time span to kind of get this thing up, try to make sure that we put everything together, that we have enough time for training, that we have enough time for any courses that we may need to do. And we try to do it so they can have a full rehearsal. Usually, hopefully, that the rehearsal is towards the end of the week. But we try to make sure that they can have like a real living experience with this prior to that first Sunday. And once it's up, we usually do what's called a commissioning Sunday, where we kind of stay on site. We walk them through any rehearsals, Sunday mornings, any of their graphics. We're just always trying to make sure that we can ensure that they have everything they need. So when that first Sunday, when people are walking through the doors and they're seeing this new canvas, they're getting that wow experience.
What would you say are some hidden costs that people don't consider when purchasing an LED wall?
Hidden costs. Structurally, there's the hidden cost of the electrical, running cables,
Labor.
labor is probably the largest cost because people would just be like, okay, so cool, we bought the LED wall. It's like, all right, cool. Now we have to pay for the labor to install it. That's a huge one. We always want to make sure we take care of the guys who are going to take care of you. Extended warranty. You definitely, hopefully that you're working with someone like us who gives like kind of that on-site post experience. To where anything you need, you can give us a call. Other hitting costs would be a lot of people want backups. They actually do. They end up wanting extra panels. So you buy a set, that's the set that you're given, again, unless you're given some extra panels. But like people will buy a set of 60 and they're like, okay, how many extras do I get? I'm like, so you get like an extra frame or two and then some modules, but they're like, oh, I thought that I could buy like 60 and I get no, you bought 60, you get 60. Shipping cost is a huge factor. Once it gets to us and we QC it, you do have to kind of expect there is some shipping costs to get it from here to wherever you might be. I think that's pretty much about all the extra hidden costs. Everything else, we try to be as forward facing as possible when it comes to costs.
The theme that I will constantly promote here is finding a partner for a business or for a decision like this. Let's call it an investment, right? So when you're putting this much money and this time and effort into an investment, it's always best to find a partner or an integrator to do that. There's many avenues. You're actually been watching two of them as sources to be able to get this project completed. Hey, Kelvin, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate your time because time is money. And I know you're a lot more expensive than I can afford. So you gave me some free time.
Nah, it's all good,
what is
man.
one thing you wish every customer understood before starting? And do you have any closing remarks?
Just do some, just my biggest thing would be, let's do some research. Again, like you said, partnership is important. Search out your dealer, search out your partner, your integrator. Build a relationship. I can confidently say that I try my best to build true relationships with my clients. I'm always checking back in with them, making sure they need anything. Sometimes we just come out and just do routine maintenance. They didn't even pay for it. I just want to come back out, just make sure my clients are happy. Because again, my thing is, with building partners, you get other partners. You become partners of partners and friends, and that's kind of how we grow. I'm a slow starter. I don't want to grow too fast, too quick, because I want to keep that relationship. I want to be able to build true partnerships with my clients and churches and stuff like that. So definitely seek out your friends and your partners very well, very wisely. Make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. And not all things have to be, these massive figures. Find your rate, find the quality and the best quality that you can, and just be real with your integrators. Be as transparent. I think that would probably be the one thing I would say. Be as transparent with your integrators as possible. Let them know if you have faulty power, or if you have brownouts. Like, let them know as much information up front so they can give you the best quality product.
I would say this is really important information because you don't just want someone to install something like this and walk away and you never hear from them again. That's why we think that, or we believe that finding a partner through this is important. And here's a key element to why. Because let's say the video director or the person that runs your LED wall leaves, or God forbid something happens to them, and now you don't have someone to run that LED wall. And now you really don't have anybody that knows anything about it, and you have to start from ground zero. But if you had that relationship in place, like Kelvin does, like I do, then someone's always got your back. We know, we're not going to forget about your project, what happened. We can look
absolutely.
at just the parts alone that you bought and refresh our memory. So don't be discouraged when you want to buy an LED wall. Find a partner. It's really important that you do. And come out with your expectations of what you want it to be from the get-go. I think that's really important too. And for God's sakes, don't forget the electrical.
Yes, electrical, man. Electrical and safety. Those are the two biggest factors, man. Electrical and safety.
And if your integrator installer doesn't mention electrical, walk away.
Yes.
Walk away fast.
It should be one of the first questions. Electrical and structural design are the two very important elements.
Yes, sir. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching this episode. Kelvin, thank you for your time again.
Yes, sir,
man.
absolutely.
Definitely a pleasure having you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, everybody, peace out.